Assalamu alaikum. This is Sharup Mujumdar welcoming you all to the English news from BTV Chattogram. Let's begin with the headlines. Chief Advisor Professor Mohammad Yunus leaving Dhaka for New York tonight to attend 80th session of UNGA. NCP convener Nahid Islam demands permanent banning of Awami League through trial. Maheshkhali and Matarbari could transform into hubs similar to Singapore or Shanghai within next 30 years. Durga Puja, biggest religious festival of Bengali Hindus, formally begins with rituals of Mahalaya. UK, Canada and Australia announce formal recognition of Palestinian state. Those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. Chief Advisor Professor Mohammad Yunus will leave Dhaka for New York of USA tonight to attend the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. He will reach New York on 22nd of September and address the General Assembly session on 26th of September. The Chief Advisor will be accompanied by 4 political leaders on this tour. They are BNP Secretary General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir, Jamaat-e-Islami Naib-e-Amir Syed Abdullah Muhammad Tahir, National Citizens Party NCP Member Secretary Akhtar Hussain and BNP leader Humayun Kabir. Earlier, Foreign Affairs Advisor Mohammad Tawheed Hussain told reporters that the Chief Advisor will present the reforms carried out in the country in the past 1 year and the commitment to establish a truly democratic state system through the upcoming national elections to world leaders in his speech. Apart from this, the Chief Advisor will also participate in a high-level meeting titled High-Level Conference on the Situation of Rohingya Muslims and Other Minorities in Myanmar, presided over by the President of the United Nations General Assembly on 30th of September. After attending the UN General Assembly session, the Chief Advisor Professor Mohammad Yunus is scheduled to return to the country on the 2nd of October. Key organizer of the July movement and NCP convener Nahid Islam demanded that the Awami League be permanently banned through trial, not only banned by executive order. He made the remarks today while speaking to journalists after testifying in the Crimes Against Humanity case over the July-August uprising against Sheikh Hasina and 2 others. The testimony and cross-examination took place at International Crimes Tribunal 1, headed by Chairman Justice Muhammad Ghulam Murtuza Mujumdar. 2 other members of the tribunal are Justice Shafiul Alam Mahmud and Justice Mahitul Haq Enam Chaudhary. The others accused in the case are former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal and former IGP Chaudhary Abdullah Al Mamun. So far, the tribunal has completed testimony and cross-examination of 48 out of 81 witnesses. While briefing journalists, Nahid Islam said the evidence of crimes against humanity during the July-August uprising that has emerged before the tribunal is sufficient for the Awami League to face trial as a political party. Meanwhile, International Crimes Tribunal 2 today completed the 6th day of witness testimony in the case filed over the killing of Abu Said, a Begum Rokeya University student and the first martyr of the July-August uprising. Former Begum Rokeya University Vice-Chancellor Hasibur Rashid and 29 others were accused in the case on charges of crimes against humanity. The tribunal, led by its chairman Justice Nazrul Islam Chaudhary, began the day's proceedings in the morning. July warrior Saim Hussain Ayan gave his deposition before the tribunal today. Earlier in the day, former IGP Chaudhary Abdullah Al Mamun and 8 others were produced before the tribunal in these 2 separate cases. Within the next 30 years, the Maheshkhali and Matarbari areas of Cox's Bazar could transform into hubs similar to Singapore or Shanghai in China. For this, the government is moving forward with a long-term development plan centered on these regions. The goal is to build one of the country's largest commercial centers in Maheshkhali Matarbari, focusing on 4 key sectors: deep sea port and logistics, manufacturing industries, energy and power, and fishing and processing. A special authority named the Maheshkhali Integrated Development Authority (MIDA) has already been established. The new authority is led by Ashik Chaudhary, Executive Chairman of the Bangladesh Investment Development Authority (BIDA), as its chairman, with Commodore Tanzim Farooq and Sarwar Alam as members. The Matarbari port has a natural depth of about 18.5 meters, enabling large vessels to dock directly. This is a major improvement compared to Chattogram, where smaller ships and multiple stages of cargo transfer are required. With these developments, the port's capacity is expected to increase by nearly 50% within the next 30 years. According to a survey by the Japan International Cooperation Agency (JICA), the region could attract 60 to 65 billion US dollars in investment over the next 20 to 30 years, creating employment opportunities for around 2.5 million people. Finance advisor Dr. Salauddin Ahmed said students will receive new textbooks in January of the upcoming academic year. He shared this information while speaking to journalists after a meeting of the Advisory Council's Committee on Public Procurement at the Secretariat today. The advisor said a decision on who will be entrusted with printing the new textbooks will be taken within this month. He added that those who had allegations of irregularities in the book printing process in previous years will not be given printing responsibilities this year. The Anti-Corruption Commission (ACC) recovered 23 sets of documents related to the former Land Minister Saifuzzaman Chowdhury's assets and money laundering abroad from Chattogram. The documents were recovered early this morning from the Konofuli area. The ACC sources said on September 16th, Ilyas, the driver of Saifuzzaman's wife Rukmila Zaman, took the documents from an industrial facility of Aramid Group of his own house. Later on September 18th, just before an ACC raid, he moved the documents to the nearby house of Osman Talukdar. The documents were finally recovered from that house in the early hours today. The ACC further said an initial review of the documents revealed information about 582 assets in the UK, USA, Dubai and Singapore, as well as properties in India, Thailand, Malaysia, the Philippines and Cambodia. Additionally, the documents include details of purchased houses at home and abroad, rental income, maintenance expenses and other property-related information. They also reportedly contain evidence of Saifuzzaman Chowdhury's foreign currency laundering. With the installation of the Mongol cot and offerings of flowers, basil and bell leaves, this year's Durga Puja, the biggest religious festival for Bengali Hindus, has formally begun with the rituals of Mahalaya today. From temples and community pavilions, the sound of conch shells, the beat of drums and the chanting of scriptural verses, Chundi, echoed through as devotees marked the arrival of Goddess Durga in the mortal realm. Traditionally, Hindus perform Tarpon on this day, offering prayers and water to ancestors spanning 3 generations. The practice is rooted in the belief that the souls of forefathers dwell in Pitrilok, a realm between heaven and earth, overseen by Yama, the god of death. With Tarpon, devotees pray for peace to the departed souls, marking the transition to the more festive phase of Devi Paksha. According to the lunar calendar, this year's 5-day main Durga Puja will begin on 28th of September with Shoshti. The Shaptami, Ashtami, Navami and Dashami rituals will follow from 29th to 30th of September and 1st to 2nd of October respectively, ending with the immersion of idols. Astrological readings suggest Goddess Durga will arrive on an elephant this time, believed to herald good harvests for the earth. However, her departure on a palanquin is traditionally interpreted as a sign of epidemics or calamities. Now, international news. UK, Canada and Australia have announced formal recognition of Palestinian state. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has announced his recognition in a video statement on social media. Ahead of the announcement, Canada has become the first G7 nation to make the same move, followed by Australia. The move comes after Keir Starmer said in July the UK would shift its position in September unless Israel met conditions including agreeing to a ceasefire in Gaza and committing to a long-term sustainable peace deal that delivers a two-state solution. In the video statement, Starmer said it keeps alive the possibility of peace and insists the UK will keep fighting to bring home Israeli hostages still in Gaza. The move has drawn fierce criticism from the Israeli government, hostage families, and some conservatives. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu previously called such a move reverse terror. He said it hardens the group's refusal to free hostages. In an open letter to Starmer, families of those still being held in Gaza have also expressed concern. They said recognition complicates efforts to bring home their loved ones. However, UK ministers argue there was a moral responsibility to act to keep the hope of a long-term peace still alive. UK government sources said the situation on the ground had worsened significantly in the last few weeks. They cited images showing starvation and violence in Gaza, which the Prime Minister has previously described as intolerable. Israel's largest ground operation in Gaza City, described by a UN official as cataclysmic, which has forced hundreds of thousands of people to flee. The Israeli forces are desperate to completely empty Gaza City. The intensity of the attacks is increasing day by day. The Israeli army and air force make Gaza tremble like an earthquake with their incessant shelling and bomb explosions. As night falls, the intensity of that terrifying bombardment becomes even more dreadful. Residents of Gaza City have reported that every night it feels like they are being shaken by an earthquake. Israeli soldiers are using remote-control explosives to blow up houses after house and residential buildings. Residents complain that the soldiers have left them no alternative. They are being forced to leave their homes amid continuous shelling and attacks from quadcopters. Most residents are running south on foot. Meanwhile, the United Nations has allowed Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to deliver a speech via video. With this goal in mind, a resolution was passed by a large majority in a vote held in the United Nations General Assembly on Friday. As a result, President Abbas will be able to participate via video in the annual conference of world leaders taking place next week. In the Israeli aggression in Gaza, at least 91 Palestinians have been killed in a single day. Among them, 76 lost their lives in Gaza City itself. At least 3 people have been killed and over 30 injured in Ukraine in a significant overnight aerial assault by Russia. This information was provided by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In a post on social media, President Zelensky wrote, Russian forces had simultaneously carried out extensive attacks in various regions of Ukraine, including the capital Kyiv, as well as Odessa, Sumy, Zaporizhia and Poltava. Residential areas and civilian structures have been targeted. The Ukrainian Air Force has reported that Russia has launched an attack across Ukraine by firing 619 missiles and drones. Meanwhile, the Russian Ministry of Defense said the Russian forces used precision weapons in a massive attack. These attacks were primarily aimed at military and industrial facilities. In other news, Russian authorities have reported that 4 people have been killed in a Ukrainian drone attack in the Samara region of the country. Kyiv claimed that they attacked a significant oil refinery center in Russia. Ukrainian authorities have reported an attack on another oil refinery in Russia, located in Raater region. Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a full-scale war in Ukraine in February of 2022. Despite several attempts by the United States and European countries, the ongoing war in Ukraine has not stopped. Now news on sports. Cricket. Bangladesh started their Super 4 phase of the Asia Cup by defeating Sri Lanka by 4 wickets with a brilliant performance in Dubai. Mustafizur Sri Lanka's innings was built